meantime, as Donald Trump was trying to give jobs or figure out who will be put in those jobs, he was out saving jobs earlier today in Indianapolis.
I want to thank all of the workers at this plant.
Still 7 weeks away from taking office, President-elect Donald Trump and his running mate made good in a campaign promise today, announcing a deal with Carrier to keep more than 1,000 jobs in Indiana.
When Donald Trump was running for president, he said that if he was elected president of the United States, America would start winning again. Well, today America won. And we have Donald Trump to thank.
At nearly every stop on the presidential campaign, Trump singled out Carrier for abandoning American workers, threatening massive tariffs if Carrier moved its Indianapolis operations to Mexico.
Indiana is the home of Carrier Air Conditioning, which is leaving for Mexico. We will be charging you a 35% tax, every single unit. Carrier Air Conditioners of the world are not going to get away with what they did. Carrier will not be leaving Indiana if I'm president.
Today, Trump indicated, as president, he'll use a combination of incentives and threats to keep other companies from leaving.
Companies are not going to leave the United States anymore without consequences.
At the transition office today, the palace intrigue continues over two of the top cabinet positions. After declaring yesterday there were 4 finalists for Secretary of State, sources now say that number is fluid. While Mitt Romney is still considered the frontrunner, Ambassador John Bolton will meet with Trump tomorrow afternoon to discuss the top job. Bolton says the State Department is in urgent need of reform.
It's not a question simply of a management restructuring. It needs a cultural revolution for a lot of reasons. And I think that's important going forward because of the damage that's done to American interests by not having a department, which is what we need to be effective advocating American interests.
Some officials in the transition office continue to push retired General David Petraeus for Secretary of State, though there is concern his conviction on leaking classified information could be problematic in confirmation. Petraeus would also have to notify his parole officer anytime he travels outside the state of North Carolina. But of course, Trump could always pardon him. Petraeus, who retired from the military in 2011, would also need a congressional waiver to serve.
Sources inside the Trump transition team tell me they are confident that they could get David Petraeus through the confirmation and could get him the waiver necessary to serve. They're also confident that they could get General Mattis that same waiver. And if you look back in history, Brett, the last time that the congressional waiver had to be sought, last time a flag officer was put at the head of the Department of Defense was in 1950. That was George Marshall. It was a different time, though, and Marshall had already served as the Secretary of State. Brett?
Hey, John, real quickly, you know, the Washington Post and other news organizations now coming out with that Mattis is the pick, and we've been reporting that he has to get over this hurdle about the waiver until it's official. No announcement probably until the beginning of next week. How much do you think this has to do with not stepping on the job story today that they really wanted to get out and about on the Carrier issue?
Clearly, there's a timing thing here going on, Brett, and I was told by a senior source earlier today that they want to pace this out. They don't want to get the Secretary of Defense out this week. They don't want to get the Secretary of State out this week either. But there also is this idea that between now and the time that they want to make that announcement about both the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State, there are little things that could go wrong, as they always do in a transition, and things could change. And that, according to a transition source I talked to earlier, you don't want to get too far out over your skis on this one. Brett?
John, thank you.